Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing well. I'm Pooja, your science teacher from Vista's Learning. I welcome you all for Vista's Learning. In today's session, what and all we are going to learn, let us come to that point later. Before that, let us talk about Vista's Learning. In Vista's Learning, what is our motto? Quality education for all. Here, our motto is to provide the quality education for all the students out there. Yes, because of which we are actually having classes from 1st standard up to 12th standard. You can watch all our videos. Before that, you can subscribe to our channel and watch all the other videos. If you like it, you can share it with your friends and family members also. Yes, then why to wait? Let us get into the topic. What are we going to discuss today? As you all are seeing, we are actually talking about the chapter combustion and flame, right? Yes, we were actually discussing about the various parts of this particular topic. In this, what and all we had learned? We learned what is basically combustion and also about how combustion takes place, what are the factors that are actually affecting combustion, how air is very much important for combustion, and also we learned about few other important topics like inflammable substances and also about the ignition temperature. I hope you all have understood about all those points. If you haven't watched those videos, in the description there would be link. You can definitely watch our previous video also. Yes, in today's session again, we will be talking about the other topics in this particular chapter. So I hope you all are ready for that. So what are we going to talk? We are basically talking about how do we control fire. So what happens? So whenever there is a fire accident which has been happening, what do? We actually call the fire extinguisher place, right? Yes. So how do they work? What do they actually do? So when actually a fire station, we call them and they will arrive at that location, what they do, they will be actually putting water on those particular place wherever there is fire. Isn't it? That is what they try to control the fire. They try to reduce the fire by using water. So water cools the combustible material, so its temperature is brought to below the ignition temperature. So what is actually water doing? Why does a fire station people actually use water? Because water cools the combustible material so that the temperature is brought below the ignition temperature. This prevents the fire from spreading. So we all have understood the point that ignition temperature. Then what is an ignition temperature? So below which actually combustion did not take place, the temperature has to be above this that is ignition temperature, then only the combustion can take place. We all have understood about it. So whatever actually they are using here, that is mainly the water, actually make sure the temperature is brought below the ignition temperature so the fire cannot spread. That is what they actually do when we call a fire station and they arrive with that particular vehicle you might have seen, which actually have water in them. They will actually pour the water into the fire so that they can reduce the spreading of the fire. So that is what they actually do, right? And then after that, so there are 3 requirements for producing fire. What are they? So if actually there has to be fire produced, there should be 3 important things which has to be there in order to produce the fire. So what are they? You all can guess the answer. What you require actually in order to produce the fire? You might tell, ma'am, we need fuel, air and many things. Yes. So let us look into those points. What are the basic requirements? So there are fuel and also air to supply the oxygen. You all remember we had done an experiment where we have light the candle actually, and above that we'll place a glass jar and cover it above also, so the air cannot enter into that glass jar. So what happened to the candle? It will stop burning and it will not produce, and it will produce the smoke also. The flame will go off. Isn't it that through that experiment we understood for combustion, for any substance to burn, actually air is very important. So what are the three basic requirements that we need to produce the fire? One is the fuel, that is the next one is the air, and next one is the heat. What does the heat do? As you all can see here, to raise the temperature of the fuel beyond the ignition temperature. The three things are actually very important. One, we need a fuel, the next we need air, and the next one what we need is the heat. Why do we need air? Because it has to supply the oxygen. And why do we need heat? Because to increase the temperature above the ignition temperature. So these are the three basic things we require whenever any substance which we have to produce the fire. So I hope you all have understood what are the three basic things that we need. And the job of the fire extinguisher is to cut off the supply of air or to bring down the temperature of the fuel, or both. So what do they actually do whenever we call that fire extinguisher people? What they have to do is that they have to make sure they'll reduce the supply of oxygen actually, because if there is no air and there is no oxygen, we know that the combustion cannot take place and also the fire cannot spread. And after that, they have to make sure they'll get down the temperature below the ignition temperature. So when the temperature is below the ignition temperature, so the substances cannot burn, they cannot actually go through the process of combustion, isn't it? So the fire extinguisher people have to make sure either they will actually cut off the supply of air, which actually gives the oxygen, or they will make sure they will get down the temperature below the ignition temperature. So that is how actually the fire extinguisher people works, so that they can control the fire. So I hope you all have understood about how can we control fire by using all these things. That is, they might be using water. I told you why we are actually using water, and also what the two main things which they have to do. Either they have to reduce the supply of air or bring down the temperature to below the ignition temperature, so that they can actually control the fire and also control the spreading of the fire. And then you all might have seen pictures like this, right? This is how they actually work. They will have a coat actually placed on them, and they use water to control the fire. Then after that, the most common fire extinguisher is the water, that we all have understood so far, because they are using water for so many reasons. But the water works only when there is some substances like wood or paper. When they are burning, only actually the water works. If not, if there is any electrical equipments or any electrical appliances which we are using actually, if they are on fire, what can that happen? So we all know that water actually conducts electricity. So if we are using actually water in order to cut off the fire of those electrical appliances, there might be chances that water might conduct electricity, and actually it will affect the person who is trying to cut off that particular fire, isn't it? So we all know, since water actually conducts electricity, so we can use the water as one of the common extinguisher only when there is something like wood is burning or paper elements are burning. If it is any electrical equipments, we actually cannot use water, as it conducts electricity. It might affect that particular person also. So I hope you all have understood about it. So if not, what they will be using, you all might have been using, they'll use air, that is a smoke kind of thing, where they'll have carbon dioxide and everything. So they'll be using air or that particular type of gases in order to get down the temperature and also to cut off the fire. Then after that, let us try to understand about the types of combustion. What are the types of combustion? As you all can see, the first type is the rapid combustion. So then what is rapid combustion? We find that the gas burns rapidly and produce heat and light, and such type of combustion is actually called as the rapid combustion. So what is rapid combustion? If there is any process which is actually burning very fast and at the same time it is producing heat also, light also. So that is actually called as the rapid combustion. That is the first type of our combustion. And the next point is what? There are substances like phosphorus which actually burn in air at room temperature. So isn't it interesting? You need not do anything. This particular type of element, that is the phosphorus, it will actually start burning in the air at room temperature only. So what do? We have to preserve that phosphorus so it will not come in contact with the air, so that it will not start burning and produce any heat or light. So what do? Do you all remember when we were discussing about a chapter that is metals and non-metals? We have discussed a point where this particular phosphorus actually reacts vigorously in air. That is why, where do we store the phosphorus? I hope you all remember this particular topic which we all had discussed previously. What might be the answer? How do we store phosphorus? Because we cannot keep it open at room temperature, it will react with the air and it will start burning. So how do we store phosphorus then? We store phosphorus in water, right? Because it is not reacting much with water. We can store it safely in water. This topic we had discussed already in a previous chapter. I hope you all remember. Then after that, what is the next type of combustion? That is the spontaneous combustion. So what happens? The type of combustion in which the material suddenly bursts into flames without the application of any apparent cause. So what does it mean? So this is a definition which you all can note it down. So what happens? So there is no, actually you need not do anything. Suddenly it will start to burn, and also what happens, as you all can see, it will start burn into flames. It will burst out into flames. So you need not do anything. You need not give any heat, or it need not react with anything. So actually it will suddenly burst into flame without the application of any other substances. Such combustion is actually called as the spontaneous combustion. So as you all are seeing here, so combustion in which a material suddenly bursts into flame without the application of any apparent cause is actually the spontaneous combustion. So these are the basic two main types of combustion which you all can actually see. So one, as you saw previously, that is the rapid combustion, and the second one is the spontaneous combustion. Then after that, so when we actually, we all know that when we actually burning the crackers, what do? So we will actually ignite it with a small fire, and that will actually burn into more and more, right? So what happens? We generally have fireworks on festival days. You all know Diwali is already coming, so you all will be excited about the crackers, but at the same time you have to be very careful about, you should not pollute our environment, and also you should not get affected through those fireworks, and be very careful and celebrate the festival very safely. So basically, whenever there are fireworks, when a cracker is ignited, a sudden reaction takes place with the evolution of heat and light and sound. Isn't it? That is what we all do. We'll burn crackers. What does it give? It will actually give light, heat, and also sound. So for the sound also and for the light, actually the sparkles, we actually burn the crackers. So we are just actually igniting it with a small amount of temperature or small fire, so that actually it bursts out into a huge one, and also it will produce heat, light, and also sound. This we all have observed during the Diwali festival, isn't it? We all actually, when we were children, we used to like actually burning crackers. Isn't it? Many of us actually like doing that, but we have to make sure we will not pollute our environment, as I said before, and also be very careful with the crackers. and a large amount of gas is actually produced in the reaction, is formed in the reaction, and it is liberated. Such a reaction is called as an explosion. Yes, so we all have this particular types of small bombs which we get in the crackers, right? So what does they do? That is actually burst out and produce a huge sound. Yes, a large amount of gas is actually formed there, and that reaction is actually liberated in that particular reaction which happens. So we all know all our crackers are basically chemicals. They are made up of chemicals. So whenever we ignite them, there would be a chemical reaction taking place, and because of which there will be a lot of gas which is being generated. And such a reaction is called as an explosion, where actually we all have heard about it, right? How actually it burst out with a loud sound and gas. Yes, so there would be a reaction which is taking place and a gas which is actually liberated. Such a reaction is actually called as an explosion. So I hope you all have understood about what an explosion is. And then after that, we are actually coming to a point like flame. So what is flame? So far we have understood what is basically combustion, what are the factors affecting it, what are the types of it. Now let us try to understand about the flame. So what is flame? As you all can see, whenever you light a candle or burn a matchstick, you see this particular type of a flame, right? Yes, that is the fire part of it, the flame. Let us try to understand about the flame. So you all might have seen this, the gas burners which we all have in our home actually. We call it as a flame, right? So try to take, what we do is that, so whenever actually this particular types of fuels which we all are using, so when we burn a matchstick and take it near this particular gas and on this particular the knob, what happens? It will catch that heat, and that you all can see this particular type of flame, isn't it? Do not try this at home for any of the reasons. Do not try this. We have just trying to understand all these types of fuels actually catch that heat and they actually produce the flame. This we all might have seen in our home when mom is cooking. So you all can go to the kitchen when mom is there, only when your parents are there, and go just stand there and observe about this particular flame. Do not do anything else. Just observe actually how this flame actually comes. Whenever your parents are there around in the kitchen, only that time go there and just observe actually how that flame actually looks like. I hope you all are good students and do not do anything else, and just observe only how will be that flame actually, how does it look like. And also when it comes to the candles, so you all might have seen whenever you light a candle, so you will get a flame actually. And whenever you actually light this particular candle, what are the colors that you will be getting? So the different colors, right, as you all can see in this picture also. So there actually in the beginning, in the initial, there you can see a bluish color, and then it will go to an yellowish orange or yellow color. And in the previous picture you saw, this color is different. This flame color is different. When you light a candle, there are actually two kinds of layers. So like this, the flame is actually different, and it actually differs from one substance to another substance. Let us try to make a note of which and all the substances which might produce the flame and which do not produce the flame. So whenever you light a candle, there is a flame, as you all can see. You just now saw in the previous picture. Yes, it will produce the flame. The next thing is the magnesium. This particular element is very familiar for us. We are using it from so many chapters. This particular example, when you actually burn a magnesium ribbon or a magnesium wire, it will actually burn, it will produce heat and light, and also there would be flame actually. Yes, so this will also forms the flame, magnesium. The next thing is the camphor. So you all might have seen in our home, whenever you do puja or anything, so the camphor, when you light the camphor, actually that will also form the flame, isn't it? You can all observe in home all these types of flame. The candle you can observe, the camphor you all can observe, and then the kerosene stove. Previously we all used to use the kerosene stoves, so in that also you actually get the flame. So kerosene stove also forms the flame. And the charcoal. In the beginning of this particular chapter, we have discussed what is the difference when you light a candle and when you burn a charcoal. What is it? I had told you all that charcoal do not form the flame, only the candle does. That is the difference. So from that point, we can understand that charcoal do not produce the flame. So I hope you all have understood. Actually, when it comes to flame, for different substances actually produce flame, and few of the substances do not produce any flame. So let us try to understand about what are the parts of the flame and everything in our upcoming session. Yes, so for today, that's it from my end. We will actually discuss about the other parts of this particular chapter and also about the flame and its part and everything in our upcoming session. Until that, keep watching VLearning, subscribe to our channel, watch all our other videos. If you like it, share it with your friends and family also. So I hope you all have understood today's session, and we'll meet again in our upcoming session and discuss about the various other topics of this particular chapter. Until then, thank you everyone. Keep watching VLearning.